Hello everybody, welcome to ZoomZoomers for the 1st of June. It's a little bit ahead of schedule. I know we've had a few people have popped out to work for the last minute, so I'm not sure how many people are going to be in the waiting room. I'll just give it another minute because we're a little bit ahead. But please be aware that as soon as they're in the meeting, they will be live. So there may be some bad language. Hopefully there won't be, but massive apologies if there is. So I'm just going to pop over to Zoom now, let the people in and see who's with us. As I said, there won't be the full number of people this time round, but we'll see who we've got. Just waiting a few more moments, make sure it's actually going to be 8 o'clock before I let everybody in. While we're doing this, if you're watching this live, then feel free to subscribe while we're waiting, or even if you're watching this back now, we'll put some comments or put a message in the comments where you can skip to key parts. So tonight we're going to have the guest of Indira Flack. We're going to be looking at a Twitter poll that you can take part in that's going to find out the best manufacturer, and we're going to have the usual chat and look at some people's guilty pleasures as well as some of their favourite racing failures. So just give it a few more moments and now I'm going to let people in. If you're wondering who I am, of course, I'm Damien Cross. You can find me on Twitter at DC_F1. And yes, I am in a spare bedroom surrounded by cosmetics and an old mirror. In between doing different things at the moment. Next week, hopefully, the green screen will be back, and you won't have to look at random bits of my wife's cosmetics. So first up, we have Richard, who's just coming in now. We have Craig, we've got Neil, Chris,
good evening,
Jess, and Alan. Hello, everybody. How are we all doing? All right.
Hello all.
Oh. Hello. Now I've got a different headset today, so hopefully you can hear me okay.
Yep.
Yeah, that's good to know. I'll try and keep it a bit quieter, so that I'm not shouting, because I was using a pair of headphones with the microphone, and I do have to kind of shout, and I think the neighbours are wondering what on earth's going on a lot of the time. How are you all doing there? You okay?
All fine, thanks.
Yeah, not bad.
Yep. Good, thank
Yeah,
you.
we're expecting a smaller crowd today. A lot of people have said that they've got work to do, which seems a shame, because normally we have a nice full crowd here of up to 16 people, but we've got a great guest coming later on. So whilst we wait for a few more people to come in, if we start to introduce ourselves, if you give your name and your Twitter handle. First of all, Richard.
Hello. I'm Rich Gooding. I'm Rich Gooding.com, and I'm writer and graphic designer.
Thank you, Richard. I'm not sure how clear that was for everyone else. I had a bit of interference there, but just to confirm, Richard, could you just say what your Twitter handle was again one more time? Not sure.
At Rich Gooding.
I'm not sure how well that's going, but Rich is at richgooding.com. So we'll move on from that. And Craig, if you could let us know who you are and what your Twitter handle is, please.
Yep, I'm Craig Woollard. I'm a motoring journalist, or motorsport journalist and historian, and I am at Craig_Woollard.
Fantastic, thank you. Neil.
Hi, I'm Neil Briscoe. I'm a freelance motoring journalist, mostly for the Irish Times and CompleteCar.ie, and you can find me on Twitter at Neil M. Briscoe.
Lovely. Chris.
Hello, my name is Christopher Sharp. I am a political journalist and LGBT motorsport activist, and you can find me on Twitter at ChristopherPBS.
Lovely, thank you. Jess.
Hi, I'm Jess Shanahan. I'm a freelance motoring journalist, and I am also known as the Racing Mentor. You can find me on Twitter at JetLBomb.
Fantastic. Alan.
Hi, I'm Alan Bradley. I am presenter of the Motoring Podcast, and you can find me on Twitter at AJP Bradley, Bradley.
Ley. Naomi.
Hey, I'm Naomi. I'm a motorsport PR and co-founder of an agency called Navigate, and I'm at Naomi Panter on Twitter.
Fantastic. And now on my screen now, I do have Charlie, who inevitably hasn't finished eating. She times it just right every week. Charlie, could you let us know your name and your Twitter handle, please?
I don't do it on purpose. I'm at GoCharlieM, and I'm a racing driver and an LGBT activist and role model. And I'm about to eat the world's hottest curry.
Whoa, this is going to be fun. Is there any extra spice you can add on there and make this into some sort of challenge?
It's going to be a challenge anyway.
Is it really? Okay, so if we start to see you sweating and running off to the toilet, we know what that's all about. Okay, no worries.
Do you mind if I
So,
compliment
yeah,
you, Craig, on a fine beard first? I haven't
he's
seen.
doing well, isn't he?
It's
Yeah.
a lot's happened since I was last on.
Absolutely.
Yeah, it has
I say
been.
the headset game is really strong as well in the chat
Yeah.
tonight.
He's definitely got the
Hopefully.
sort of castaway
Yeah.
look about him. But well,
I did have to quickly run to the bathroom now and just like
Wilson!
tidy myself up because it was looking a bit dishevelled, and
Greg, have
the
you got
wife
a
pointed out.
football?
Oh, I've got Ian coming in now. Hang on, I'll just let Ian in.
I gave up on the whole Corona beard thing.
Did
I've
you?
proven I can almost grow one, and then
Yeah.
to be honest, it just got a bit irritating. So
Oh, fair
it's
enough.
gone
If
and it's back to normal.
If you do
Really?
half a
got
beard,
grown.
it doesn't quite work, does it? So,
Yeah.
yeah. Ian, if you could let us, it's Ian. It's actually called Ian today, not Maria or Taka or some other weird hieroglyphics. Ian, what was your name and what's your handle?
Well, hopefully you can hear me. Can you hear me or not?
Yeah.
Oh, good. My laptop's actually working. It's amazing. I'm Ian from Pop Killer. I'm an artist, but at the moment I'm doing lots and lots of drawings other than painting because COVID. So, yeah.
When are you due to get back then, do you think? When are you likely to be out in the village in Coventry?
Well, we've got to put a health and safety together, write a risk assessment. I've got to get a plastic, like a windshield type thing to cover my desk. It'll be invite only. There'll be the studio won't be open. To be honest, I'm still doing my drawing, so I'm not in any rush. I'm not in.
Yeah.
That's what's making the money. That's what's the really interesting project at the moment. So I can't see any car events happening with a public participation for a long time. So I'm concentrating on the thing that I can be an artist doing. So
Yeah, fair enough. Cool. So you're not missing out on it too much. I suppose did the Continuous Wheels project, and that's what the book's called. Is it Continuous Wheels, isn't it?
yes, it's now fully funded. It's being funded. We hit the target, and now it's just finishing off all the orders that I've been doing, and also just talking to some really interesting people that I wanted to catch up with. So I've got we've just done the Brawn. There we are.
Very
with
nice.
Claire Cottingham. So the Brawn's just been done. And yeah, so it's just finishing that, and then obviously we need to concentrate on getting the book published. So that's the next stage of it all.
Cool. Well, a few people here have ordered the book. So when are we likely to get it through the door?
Well, we're looking. Hopefully. Well, first of all, we need to work out whether we go down a self-publishing route or go with a publisher. So I've got a few phone calls I need to make that happen. And then so I probably we're on June. I would say latter half of the year, probably. But I'm going to keep people up to date on social media of when it is and what the plan is. All the artworks are going off. The first batch of the artworks have been off to the printers last week. The next batch are going off tomorrow. So
Excellent. Oh, I see a couple more people have just joined. So LA, if we could start with you, could you let us know your name and your Twitter handle for us if you can remember it?
It's really complicated. It's @1_LA. It's down there.
It's there, isn't it? Yeah, down there. Yeah.
LA, Louisa, whatever you want to call me. And I think I'm here representing Formula 2.
Yeah, thanks for that. And Ben? So I've caught you on the hop there, haven't I? Yeah.
Yeah, I had to unmute myself. I'm at Ben3 Hodges, and I'm deputy editor of Car Buyer.
Recently seen on the front cover of a magazine in a Toyota RAV4.
Yeah. Another claim to fame.
Yeah, how is it all going generally in the world of offline publishing? I mean, is it all coming together? Are there people scrabbling around at magazines, desperate for stories, or how is it all looking?
There's a lot of stuff going around at the moment. There's a lot of stuff happening this week. There's a lot of tests happening now. We can get cars again. My guess is we're just going to be producing as much content as possible and just take it from there in terms of what happens, whether we need to bank it or not, or publish it.
Yeah, so it's kind of business as normal again now for you guys, is it? I mean, Alan, this is probably something that you and Andrew have discussed a little bit on the podcast about car showrooms now starting to open, and the massive drops in car sales we've seen over the last few months, down to 3% or whatever it was of the normal activity. How do you think it's going to pan out over the next month or so?
Well, it depends who you listen to, really. If you listen to the dealers and their trade group, then they're saying it's going to be absolutely terrible. Nobody's going to buy any cars, and they should be a scrappage scheme to make people buy cars as quickly as possible, and that should be the most important thing that the government should be thinking about. If you speak to others, then there's such a massive pent-up demand that people just want to collect cars that they bought already and ordered already and are waiting for, or they want to get on and actually buy cars and will over. It could go either way. I think it's either going to be a spike, or it's going to turn into a drought, and I've no idea of knowing what's the right one.
Fair enough. I was seeing earlier on the news they had a broadcast where they, the reporter went to a local car dealership, used car dealership, to show the measures they'd put in place so that people could come and look around, and no one was there. So although the measures were in place and there were all these marks on the floor to keep 2 meter distance, nobody was rushing out straight away to go and buy a Mini. So it looked a bit like it was going to take a while to get going.
I don't know why you would be queuing up outside the place to just desperately go buy a car unless you had a really good reason, like your own car had been caught in an accident or just expired in a terminal way. So I don't really know why you would be queuing up for cars, to buy a new car. But we'll see. I mean, I know that my plans of changing car have been scuppered slightly, I guess, just because I can't go see that. I've not been able to see the model, I've not been able to drive it, so I can't make a decision as to whether I'm going to change my car or not, because I just can't get near the model. I'm not prepared to just go out and commit tens of thousands of pounds without having even seen the darn thing.
Is this the Yaris GR4 by any chance?
It's actually yes, but if you call it the GR4 you get told off, so it's actually the GR Yaris. Yes. But then
So you've been driving around in a Kia Stinger for a while as well, haven't you?
Yeah, 9 weeks. 9 weeks I had a Kia Stinger on my drive, taking up most of my drive.
How long should it have been for?
1 week. It got delivered the afternoon of lockdown. It got delivered the afternoon of lockdown. I took it out. I took some photos, and that's an 11-mile round trip to the lay-by of automotive photography. Yeah. And anyone who's seen my pictures will know that they just about always get taken at the same place because it's easy. And then that was it, really, until the other week. In 9 weeks, I covered 120 miles. It took me about 6 weeks to pass what's colloquially known as an Evans, or about 46 miles. And it was only being used to go back and forth to the Tesco, which is a real shame of a 3.3. Never know it's 3.1 or 3.3 V6, 3.3. Thank you. V6 turbo rear-wheel drive performance saloon thing.
You could have taken full advantage of the low petrol prices over the last few months.
Didn't even. You know what? I used just over half a tank in 9 weeks. It was like, can I say this in this forum? I'm going to say it in this forum anyway. It was like one of the one tank wonder type road tester motoring journalists doing a long-term test. All right.
Was it any good?
It was really good. Yeah, it was really. I liked it a lot. I really did, and it was quite cool. It actually, having it opened a couple of doors for another series of interviews I've done. So whilst there's not the road test up yet, obviously, because I only went back on Friday. The stuff like an interview with the guy behind the tuning the stereo, the Harman Kardon stereo and stuff, is all up online and things. So it was here and it was generating content amazingly, but just not being driven. I did sit in it and listen to music for an hour one night. Very early on in this, I just needed to not be in my house.
Yeah.
And I thought, no, not in my office, not in my sitting room. I'm sick of both places. And I actually went out and I sat in the car for an hour and just listened to music in that awesome Harman Kardon stereo. And it's not something I do, but it was so cool. And so I have a soft spot for it anyway. And it was a nice thing to drive to the supermarket to have them shopping in the back.
Yeah. What a fantastic thing to be stuck with for 9 weeks. And in the world of motorsport, then maybe Jess perhaps knows what's going on the driver market, especially in the club scene in the UK at the moment. Is there a lot of buzz of activity, or are people writing 2020 off, or what's the state of play in the UK club scene?
I think, well, track days are supposed to be starting up soon, which is, I guess, half the battle is getting people to the track. And lots of the big championships have said that the racing is going to commence in like August, September, October, but we don't know because things might shift and change. But as far as it goes with kind of the people that I'm talking to, I think everyone is really eager just to do something this year.
Yeah, of course. Yeah, you don't want to keep it written off completely, do you?
Yeah, exactly. I think just people want to get out on track, and I'm absolutely with them there. And but I think a lot in terms of the stuff I think about with sponsorship, I think a lot of people are looking to 2021 now and might just do 1 or 2 races in 2020 rather than a full season, whatever that might look like.
Yeah, fair enough. Talking about motorsport, I'm not sure if Charlie's managed to finish her hot and spicy curry.
I'm nearly done. I'm sorry. Honestly, it's because I go for a ride early in the evening and then I come home and then I'm like, I want to eat and have a shower, which is why I look like I'm just ready for bed, basically, eating a curry.
Are you racing again? Well, you've just raced again, haven't you? What was the track this time round?
It was New York. And yeah, it was all right. I preferred it to Berlin. Berlin was really horrible, no grip. But yeah, New York was good. I had some good battles, actually. And quali wasn't quite so bad. I did okay in that. I think I started 21st on the grid. I got up to 16th temporarily. 16th, 17th, like on lap 1. And then I think me and somebody else were going for a corner and we took each other out. But the thing is, it's really hard when, especially because I only have a single screen. And on those opening laps, there's so much traffic on those courses that your spatial awareness is really challenged because you have somebody behind you, somebody like trying to come up the inside here, someone trying to come up the outside. And you're trying to turn in and kind of also just get around the corner and make sure that it's so easy to just turn in when somebody's like here.
Yeah.
And that's what happened. I turned in and we both span. But it's you can't have eyes in like 7 places at once when you don't have that feeling of what's around you in a sim.
Of course, yeah.
Oh, sorry. Can I ask you a question? Sorry, Charlie. The you know how this year in Formula E they've been tweaking the courses to try and make them less tight and stuff. Are they doing that with the virtual ones, or are they keeping them just how they've always been? It just dawned on me when you were speaking there. If you don't know, just say it's fine.
That's a good point, but I don't know because I don't know the Formula E courses well enough to
I should imagine if it might be a little bit like the Formula 1 and Formula 2 races is that they're using last year's game software. So anything new that changes this year in any formula, I should imagine it won't be available on a simulated platform until maybe next year. I don't know about these things. I'm new to sim racing myself, but maybe Craig is the guy to sort of ask.
I know they've been updating all the circuits recently, and I know New York only released Tuesday or Wednesday, I think it was, before the race.
Quite a few of the courses, apart from the first 2 we did, which were the Monaco E-Prix and
the
Hong Kong.
Was it Hong Kong?
Yeah. Those 2 were already available on R-Factor 2, but all the others, I think they've actually built for this championship. I think they've kind of scrambled them together because they've only just literally come out. So
so I'm pretty sure that any E-Prix that's run this season will be up to date to to this season's spec, whereas somewhere like New York or Berlin, which hasn't been run this championship, would have been to last season's spec, I reckon. As far as I'm aware.
Yeah, I must admit, I mean, I'd love to drive the car on an actual conventional circuit. I reckon that would be so good, because it's the corners are the course is all kind of like stop, stop, you know. It's kind of, you can get into a rhythm, but it's hard. And the problem is when you need to go down to first gear, the car's so slidey in first. So when you turn into a corner like a hairpin, it's like, I've often found some of the corners I'll just use second, even though it's a bit slower, because 2 out of 5 times you'll just get a big tank slapper on and you just kind of almost lose the car. So it's like, it's so much harder than it looks.
And how was the braking around New York? Because I know you've been having some problems trying to set your pedals up, and tried a few different solutions to try and get your braking to feel a bit more like a proper car. We can modulate how much pressure you're putting on the brake pedal. Has that seemed to be a bit better around New York, or have you found a good solution or your own setup? Or
yeah, I mean, basically, I made my own load cell out of pipe insulation and duct tape, which I tried to rush it at Berlin in the morning of the race. And I kind of got it quite good actually now, where it's not as good as the load cell, the proper one on the pedals that I had from Formula E Sim. They're coming to collect that on Wednesday, so because they were like, we see you're using your regular Sim. Can we come and collect the other one? I was like, oh yeah, sure. So to be honest, I'm hoping that Thrustmaster are going to send me their TLCM pedals, which is their load cell one that they introduced about, I don't know, like 4 months ago. And so I miss the thing is, when you've had a load cell and then you don't have a proper one, it's really hard, because you're making it harder for yourself. So yeah, it's not been ideal, but it's good. I'm just happy to be back on my Sim, because you know, it's really I really like it, and it's comfortable, and you know, like the next level racing rig's really easy to just jump in and out of, and the Thrustmaster kit's really good. So it's cool.
Oh, cool. Well, talking of racing, one of the themes for the week, we had kind of 2 suggestions. One was from you, Charlie. We'll come on to that in a bit. But one that Chris chucked at me a couple of weeks ago, and I said, let's leave it for when Indira turns up, because maybe we can get her to talk about this when she's on, was of the best or favorite racing failures. So obviously this is more of a motorsport thing, and I know you guys aren't all motorsport people. So Chris, if you want to kick off with what kind of thing you mean as a racing failure.
So what I mean is a racing car which was not competitive, but which you nonetheless liked, either because it looked good, either because actually it tried something new which hadn't been attempted before. So, you know, that's all I mean. I think, you know, so you could include in that list the Hispania from 2010, because even though it was really slow, it wasn't an aesthetically displeasing automobile necessarily compared to what would follow in the years to come in Formula One. So, you know, that's a racing failure, but it has an aesthetic merit. Or it could be something innovative which tried to be innovative but just didn't work. You know, and so that on my end, that my racing failure was one of the latters. It was something which was innovative, which tried to be innovative, which could have worked, but which was ultimately a complete and utter red herring and failure, and cost the company it represented a lot of credibility.
So would that HRT be your pick then, or have you got another one up your sleeve?
No, the HRT was it was just not innovative in any way, shape, or form. It was innovatively slow. I mean, I think we'd have to try really hard to make a Formula One car that slow and that appalling.
Those of us who remember the 90s, I remember before the 107% rule, will say that we know slow when cars used to get like 4 or 5 times. Yeah.
Just 8 seconds off the pace.
But, that was kind of typical. Yeah, what sort of thing would you say was your favourite then?
The Nissan GTR LM Nismo.
Front-wheel drive one.
The front-wheel drive one, because I mean, it wasn't purely front-wheel drive. I mean, you know, the theory behind it was that you had a Nissan, the engine from effectively, I think it was a Nissan GT3 kind of front, It was front engine panel style. Most of the power went to the front wheels, but all the electric power was sent to the rear wheels, so it was 4-wheel drive. So it had like these big sticky front tires and these really narrow rear tires. And the theory was that it'd be really quick in the straight line, save weight with the pipe work, but that because of the 4-wheel drive system, you'd still be able to have a degree of cornering grip. However, Nissan, it didn't work. I remember in Autosport reading that they couldn't get the rear wheels to work. They couldn't get them to be powered. So they thought, well, we could pull out, wait another year and just sort of say, and be fair up and just say, look, we'll come back in 2016. But no, they decided, no, we're going to take this 1,250 brake horsepower front wheel drive car and see what happens. And Nissan turned up with like these 3 really like anniversary liveries to Le Mans. And the car is good at going in a straight line, but it's I mean, you see like a normal hatchback struggles without a trick differential, a normal hatchback struggles with more than 250 go through its front wheels. So when you've got 1,250 brake horsepower, wow. I mean,
I spoke to a touring car engineer maybe 15, 20 years ago, and he just said more than 300 horsepower, even with slick tires, is kind of pointless. You're just kind of just spinning it away. So when they brought that out, I actually had a bit of a ding-dong conversation with someone on Twitter about it, just saying, well, this is a massive step backwards. People in motorsport have known this won't work for 50 years. And now they think it's a nice new idea and let's give it a whirl. Well, the reason people don't give it a whirl is that we know it doesn't work, and it didn't work. But,
I mean, that's the
thing.
I think the tragedy behind that program was, though, they should have given it another year, because I think had they got the rear wheels working, had they sorted that system out, it might not have been as crap as it was. But because they sort of, Le Mans was an embarrassment, they put special liveries on when they knew they would perform badly.
Yeah.
I think that I mean, seriously damaged their credibility, and I think they couldn't come back after that embarrassment, and that was a shame, because I would have liked to have seen what that car would have done with another year of development.
I think didn't it used to cock an inside rear wheel when it was cornering as well?
I think it did, yeah.
Yeah, like a 205.
Yeah, like Clio Cup or something like that.
But a 205 would have finished higher in that year's race.
Yeah.
Anyone else got any kind of very fond memories of racing failures that they kind of can't help but love?
I was going to say one that Chris mentioned briefly, the panels. I don't know if the panels was like a spectacular failure, but I remember seeing them at Le Mans, and like when I went in 01, 02, and 03, and I just thought they looked quite cool. They just, like the long bonnet, and they just got like this big thundering V8, and they had some quite cool liveries on them. I remember there was like a blood red one that just like, I don't know. When I went to Le Mans then, I didn't really know that much about like anything. It's like, well, I like that one. It sounds good and it's red.
Yeah. I used to have a electric one.
Yeah,
the panels actually ran the first hybrid top level prototype at Le Mans. Yeah, they were the first team ever to run a petrol electric hybrid system at Le Mans. But because battery technology then was a bit like carrying like a massive boulder around with you, you had to basically tow on battery power station for it to be effective in any way. It was horrendously slow, and I don't think it qualified. But still,
hey, but it's the trend and the precedent, and where we are now. Yeah, maybe it's time for Panos to return. Anyone else got any ideas for some lovely racing failures? The one that kind of popped up for me for some reason was the old Lola MasterCard Lola in Formula One. I don't know why I'm fond of it. I just love the fact that it was completely hopeless. But how about you guys?
I've got.
Sorry.
Yeah.
Now we go Naomi first.
I was going to say, just to add to the Nissan thing, I think for me, I'm incredibly fond of that car too, and mainly because it coincided with Periscope.
Okay.
And for me, I know the guys. I'm slightly biased, because I know the guys who were the production company are involved with the team, but what they were doing at that time was incredibly cool, and it was the first time where you could be watching a live video on your phone and say, put the phone in the cockpit or put it like show us the exhaust, and some person would physically go and do it. And it was just brilliant, because for someone like me, I think that was around the beginning of my career, I suppose. I just loved that. It was just fantastic. It was a level of access I'd never had before. And I think they had partnerships with, I think, GoPro, and they were just doing some crazy cool stuff. So I really loved it, maybe from a marketing exercise that I suppose arguably failed. But in terms of the stuff they were doing, I thought was very, very cool.
Cool. And Alan, you had a bit of an idea of, I think it was you who was chiming in there with a racing failure.
It's always me that's chiming in.
If in doubt.
So yeah. I racing failures. What I've got written on my pad in front of me is Rockingham.
Oh, that's a different angle to take. Yeah,
I'm obviously incredibly fond of, because it's about a mile and a half that way from me. And yeah, I miss it terribly. I know it was never the greatest race course, race circuit, but I had season ticket for 6, 7, 8 years or so, and yeah, it's great. I loved it.
It was unique, and it was actually quite cool that you could stand on top of the pits and watch the cars go around you, which is a bit novel. And not too far from where I am as well, so I used to pop down there quite a lot. We haven't actually ever discussed about where everyone's from. I kind of know myself, but we might have to do that one week and kind of explain who's where in the world. But maybe we'll do that in a bit. Any more racing failures before we move to Naomi?
Yeah, I was going to say, just because I wasn't going to say mine, but Alan's gone left wing, so left field. So I'm going to do mine too, because I sort of misinterpreted the whole idea. But I was going to say Alonso's running of the Indy 500 in 2017. Because ultimately you could argue the car failed, but I think it was one of the most exciting times ever, because whatever you think of Alonso, whether you care about him going for the Triple Crown or not, like for me, the Indy 500 is the race of the year. Monaco's great and everything, but the 500, but particularly, I'm the nerdy one who watches the Facebook Live every practice session through the month. I love it. Yeah. And watching him turn laps on his own in Indianapolis with the whole world tuning in, it was like the moon landing. It was just incredible. And obviously it did fail, but I think, it did something big for the Indy 500. And I think I've certainly been more excited about the championship as a whole since then, because I put a lot more time into it than I would have done previously. So yeah, that's one of mine.
Did you see him and Button have the ding dong battle chased by Andretti in the esports version? It was quite funny. I don't know why Mario Andretti it was. I don't know how Mario found himself a lap down, but then Button and Alonso were flying at the front. Mario was just stapled to the back of them as they left everyone else, the Tony Kanans and everything in the distance, and Mario just chewing gum on his sim, which is like keeping up with the two boys at the front. Absolutely fantastic. So I
kind of misinterpreted the question as well.
Right. Hey, there's no right or wrong way to interpret these things. Just give an answer. If you say to me, say my favorite racing failure is 17, I'll be like, oh, okay, that's an answer. So that's fine. What have you got then?
That's fair enough. I've kind of got a couple, well, 3 actually, but the very quick ones. So for Formula One, my racing failure has always been the 2005 US Grand Prix at the Brickyard, which was just an absolute... It's just a farce. It's still spoke about today. It's an absolute farce, and it was just a shame for the sport, really. But then again, it made some changes, and it made some differences. So and then those of us that watched it have got funny memories to go back on. I also really thank God no one was severely injured. The 1998 Belgian Grand Prix, which David Coulthard now admits to starting when pretty much every single car was involved in a collision at the start. Good old days of a spare car, so some drivers got back for their spare cars. Some argued over which car who's going to have it, and then there was an hour after the restart there was another incident again, and it would just get going and going and going this race. But I've not been privy to highlights. I was sitting watching all this when it unfolded, and it's a very, very good memory, but a failure. And then one of the biggest racing failures that's still contention today, really, regarding team orders, is the 2002 Austrian Grand Prix, when Barrichello was leading the Grand Prix, and for championship points he was team ordered to allow Michael Schumacher to win that race. And it wasn't even just the team orders and all of that on the finish line. It was the farce on the podium afterwards, you know, and they're handing the trophy and trying to swap the places. And it was very uncomfortable watching. It was incredibly unfair as far as team orders go, and not just for the drivers, but for the sport itself. And, you know, it's still, team orders are still contended today, and they're still spoken about quite a lot. But that's obviously a very significant failure on my personal behalf and point of view. But there you go.
Yeah, and these kind of things, all three of those things that you said are things that I still spoke about today, and people remember quite clearly for the right or wrong reasons, but they're quite you know, implanted in our memories of motorsport. More, I mean, I can remember that US Grand Prix a lot more than I could recall what the Grand Prix before or after it was. So in one sense, they kind of they live in the memory a lot longer than a plain old Grand Prix or any other kind of event. But while we're talking about motorsport, I know this has perhaps been quite motorsport heavy. I have got Indira waiting to come in, so I'm just going to let Indira Flack in. If you want to give her a nice warm welcome, and then we'll get her to introduce herself and talk a bit more about the project. So we can see Indira now, and we can see. Hello there, Indira. It says that you're not connected to audio, but maybe you are now. Can you hear us okay? Now we can't hear you, Indira. I'm not sure why that is. Have you managed to hook up your... That's all right, don't panic, it's fine. Connected to audio. It looks like it's given it a whirl. It's not managed to do it. It says... Now, Indira and I did have a bit of a practice run of this about a week ago, didn't we? And it worked fine that day, so I'm not sure what's going on at the moment. But you can hear us okay?
Do you know if she's on a laptop or an iPad or anything?
It was an iPad last time. Are you on an iPad, Indira? You haven't got any sound? No.
Scroll down the bottom corner, have a look down there on the mute button, where the mute button is.
I'm not sure if she can hear us, but it looks like she's definitely trying different things here. But Indira, if you're not sure, it was the photographer behind the Great British Racing Drivers Project, which is now being hosted at Silverstone, I believe. She's got some fantastic stories, so I really hope that she's able to join to connect to audio once again. Fingers crossed this time. That looks a bit better. Can you hear us now?
Hey. Sorry.
That's okay. That's right. Oh, it's funny because you've been panicking about technical issues for so long, and then you come on and there's technical issues. Could you just let us know your name and well, you've got two Twitter handles, but if you could let us know one of your Twitter handles, please.
It's Indira Flack, and it's either at GBRD Photos or at Indira Flack. Very easy.
Very easy. And could you tell us about the character?
Audio.
Yeah, exactly. I'm not sure what happened. Are you actually on an iPad today?
Yes.
The same one as, we practiced on the iPad and it seemed to work okay.
Yeah,
can you see all of us, or can you see just 9 of us, or can you see everybody?
I can see 9 of you, yeah.
Okay, so hopefully it's going to show the most important 9, but we'll have to hope that it shows people when they talk. Could you let us know who the character is in the background there? Is it Bear Grylls? Or?
It's Bear Grylls.
Oh. And he's been your little mascot as you've been going around taking photos of racing drivers. And it all started with Sterling Moss, is that correct?
Yes, he was the very first one. I thought I might as well start at the top. And because nobody knew who on earth I was. So I just thought I better have somebody significant to show them and say, I photographed Sterling Moss, and he said yes, and I'm not a random nutter. Please let me take your photo. So yeah, he was very kind and said yes straight away, and he was the first one. And then John Surtees was the second, and Jackie Stewart was the third. So that was quite good.
Yeah, you got all the big ones out of the way, and then it was
Absolutely.
kind of a few years of just hunting these people down, or wherever you could get them. I mean,
well,
photos.
As Charlie will know, anywhere, stalking people, the NEC. Are you you in my project?
I'm really glad we got to meet as well.
It'll be good, and once we can actually get together, we'll get it done.
Definitely.
Yeah, that'd be really, really cool. Yeah, I remember, when you were kind of coming at the time, I was working a lot with Ash Sutton, And you appeared at the back of the garage during a race, and I was like, oh, hello, and he still hadn't got Ash at that point. So I went and said to him, I thought, I don't know if you know, but Indira Flack's here. He was like, oh, right, okay. Because I think he'd been hunting him for so long, and he did finally give in, I think, didn't he?
He did, yes.
Yeah, that's good.
I think it was mostly because it was just time issue.
Yeah,
with most
exactly. Yeah.
people and lack of organisation.
Well, you've travelled around to find these people as well, haven't you? Was it Nigel Mansell you had to go?
Well, Nigel was the only one I had to get on a plane
Oh,
for.
okay.
So, yeah, I went to Jersey, and that was only because I didn't want to miss him. When he said, yes, I'll do it, but I'm going to America for 3 months, I just thought, oh, I don't want to leave it till he comes back in case he's A, forgotten about it, B, decided he doesn't want to do it or whatever. So, yeah. So good old EasyJet got us to Jersey for the day, glamorous. Yeah, so that was good. We went over there and went to the Mansell collection, so his little museum, which sadly is no longer, and photographed him there. So yeah,
you've got a good range of different people in different settings. Some are at home, some I mean, Lando Norris was at an award ceremony. We got the likes of you managed to get Brundle, Coulthard and Herbert all in one shot at a race. I think we had Flick Haig was sat on a rocking horse surrounded by dogs.
That's right.
That was the most relevant thing for her was although she's in a race suit, it's fantastic to see. Are there any real stories that you really stand out as the key memories of from your time doing, or is it just a mass of loads and loads of incredible adventures?
It's just, well, some of the stories are a bit more complicated than the others. I mean, the Brundle, Coulthard, Herbert one was epic. I think it was, well, in fact, the night before, I didn't even know whether Johnny Herbert was going to turn up or not. Yeah. And that was all very last minute because it was British Grand Prix. We were going to do it there because I failed miserably to track them down individually, and so I thought, right, I need to be somewhere where they have to be, and we'll do it there. And the British Grand Prix was coming up, so I decided that would be the best place. But I didn't decide that until I think it was the end of May, and then Silverstone were brilliant. They gave me tickets to get in. I had no media accreditation. I had nowhere to stay, nothing. And it all boiled down to the week of the Grand Prix. And suddenly everything, the drivers, Martin Brundle was really efficient and emailed me straight back going, yeah, that's fine. I'll talk to David Coulthard. And David Coulthard's office got back to me and they said, yes, that's fine. Johnny Herbert, nothing at all. And that was through the BRDC. And then eventually I got Mark Blundell emailed him for me as well. Still nothing. So I had no idea whether he was going to turn up or not. And I think it was I didn't get media accreditation until Tuesday or Wednesday or something. And then I had nowhere to stay. So I got a camp pitch, but nothing to put on it. I was just going to be sitting there. And it all just worked out that at the end of the day, everything just worked out. And we arrived at Silverstone. We got a lift into the media centre in what we thought was the courtesy bus, but it was actually Channel 4. Who said, yes, no problem, we'll sort out a microphone for David Coulthard and make sure he arrives with it and all this kind of stuff. So it was just brilliant. But I still didn't know whether Johnny Herbert was going to turn up. So I'm sitting in the media centre having my dinner, looking down at the pit straight, and lo and behold, there's Johnny Herbert. And it's like, oh my God, so abandoned dinner, ran down to Johnny Herbert and went, Johnny, are you going to, he said, oh yeah, got your email, sorry, ignored it. Yeah, I'll be there, no problem. It's like, oh, right, okay. So yeah, that was the most last minute one, I think, ever.
And a fantastic shot. So if you guys haven't seen it, it's all three of them kind of leaning over you, really, with microphones in hand.
Yeah.
There's a kind of solid combination of Channel 4 and Sky, I guess it was at the time, who were there to cover the race. And it's really nice to see all of them together in one place. Where can people see these images now if they haven't already kind of come across your work?
You can see them on the GBRD website, which is gbrd.photos. So there's a selection of them. They're not all up on there. And then when it reopens at the Silverstone Experience, who knows when that might be, but that's
so
where
if you go to Silverstone, go to the Experience. Now, I think at one point we were kind of looking around maybe to see if you could perhaps have a book, but you needed some sponsors to come together for that. Did that ever kind of manage to get anywhere, or are you still hoping to do that?
We're still trying. The book is almost, the book is almost finished. But I'm kind of waiting to add Charlie and various other people who are still on my list. So I've sort of got most of it done, but with the provision that I can add the pages in where I need to.
Yeah.
And of course, I'm still waiting for Lewis. So
you managed to get Nicholas, didn't you? But you didn't manage to get him to step up his brother. No. It's a bit of a glaring omission, and it's such a shame because the likes of we've got Damon Hill, we've got Jensen, but we've got lots of British Formula One world champions. You mentioned earlier about Stewart and the likes, Surtees. So we've got a lot of Formula One world champions. It's just
he's
Lewis,
the only one that's missing. Well, the only living one that's missing. So which is a real shame, but it's just it's a work in progress.
Yes, well, maybe one day he'll look back and he'll go, oh, even Charlie Martin's in him.
Well, exactly. For goodness sake.
Even Charlie Martin.
That is so cruel.
That's my Christmas card list.
I'm only saying it because I'm so far away from you right now. Otherwise, I'll get in trouble. I can't outrun Charlie. So while you're here, you're going to gang up on me now, aren't you? Yeah. Okay. How do we fancy if Ray has been on form? So Neil there. I don't know if you can see Neil on your screen, Indra, but Neil's son Ray, 9-year-old Ray, produces a quiz for us each week. So it's a very simple 5-question quiz where if you've got a pen and paper to just jot the answers down, and it's hopefully as entertaining as it always has been. Neil, has he been on top form again this week?
He has indeed. You need to switch on screen sharing there, Damien,
which I always forget to do.
That's right. It actually
pen and paper.
This only got put together this morning, in fact, because he felt a bit tired yesterday and didn't want to do it. So, but yes, I talked him around this morning. Charlie's got to get pen and paper.
Start quickly.
No, what is this be cruel to Charlie Day? That's not right.
Damien against Charlie. I'm not going to win that one.
Yeah. Can everyone see a blank screen?
Oh yes, we're ready for the Irish Chris Tarrant.
I'm ready for that.
Wait, is that him or me? Anyway, just to say, I'm not going to pause this. We've left a bit longer for people to come up with their answers in between the questions, so I'm just going to let it run, and you guys can just see how you go. Here we go.
No sound.
I haven't got any sound this time.
There's the F1.
Not sure if Neil's muted himself. Do you know if you've got sound, Neil?
Sorry, say it again.
Don't know if we've got any sound coming through.
Hang on. Oh, do you know what I've done? I bet.
He's handicapping us. That's what it is.
I hope that first question isn't who was the sponsor of McLaren in 07.
No, it was not. Hang on a sec. I'll go back and do that again. Because obviously I did something wrong.
I'm not going to know any anyway, so.
If you manage to get one on this quiz, you'll be doing all right to just get one.
Yeah, one's a good score for me if it makes you feel any better.
I mean, I always feel I'm in competition with Craig anyway.
Yeah, Craig's the only one with any pressure on.
What did you get last week, Craig?
I only got like 2 or 3 last week, so I've got a reputation to regain from.
Got a rep to
from
protect.
this. So yeah, I've been slacking the past few weeks. It's not good.
Second, where's that bit gone that tells you how to do that? Sorry, I'm just talking to myself.
Yeah,
now.
you're
This
right.
is
Oh,
ridiculous.
wait, I do that all day. I'm living alone now. It happens.
It's like an advanced thing, wasn't it? Advanced sharing or something.
Yeah, it was. And I'm
Extreme
trying to find it
sharing
now.
to the max. Can't remember how
Hang
to
on.
do it now. It's worth the wait, Indira. I promise.
Got
Is
it.
it?
Right.
Are you sure?
It
Here we go.
really.
Here we go. Here we go.
Oh,
Here we
that's
go.
a heavenly background.
Hello, everybody. Welcome to the absolutely humongous, enormous, and very, 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 quite small, big motoring quiz.
Bless him.
Question 1. Who was Lewis Hamilton's 2008 teammate at Vodafone McLaren Mercedes? The answer? Heikki Kovalainen from Finland. Question 2. What was the project name for the Ford Escort Mark II?
What?
The answer? Project Brenda. Question 3. Which 2 drivers replaced Robert Kubica in the 2011 season and for Lotus Renault? The answer? Nick Heidfeld / Bruno Senna.
Damn you.
Question 4. Guess this car from these 5 very small pictures. The answer. The Lancia Delta Integrale. Question 5. In what year did the car company Lotus start? The answer? 1948. And thanks everyone for playing, or everyone who did play. And we'll see you next week. I hope you got some right. And thank you.
And there we go.
Wow.
Fantastic.
Very good, Ray. He did that in the morning.
Nice work.
Some of those were bloody tricky.
They were tricky. So let's go through the scores, and I'll be very surprised. But has anyone managed to get 5 out of 5 on that one? Is that Ben's hand up, or is he just
No, it's just me leaning against it.
Still thinking about question 1. Okay, anyone got 4 out of 5? And anyone got 3? Whoa! So nobody 3, 4, or 5. Who's got 2?
Got 2.5.
Oh, Chris,
2.5,
how did you
2.5
manage
each.
to get a half point? And what was the half point for, Chris?
Because question 3 had 2 answers.
Okay. Fair enough. So who got 1 point?
I don't feel so bad.
I wrote down. I was made question 2. I wrote down Beasley for the answer because I had no idea, and it was actually quite close.
Yeah,
It was
that's half a point in Chris's rules. Yeah, half a point.
Whoa!
Incidentally, I have no idea how he knows that. Because I don't think I've told him that, and I don't think I left like my Ford book lying around recently, so I've no clue how he remembers that.
Did anyone get that one right? Did anyone get Brenda? In
No.
that case, we can only
I got
assume that
Linda.
Ray has just made it up.
No, it is true. I
no,
looked it up afterwards to make sure. But it just
fantastic.
No, once it was said, I knew it was right. It was.
Yeah, I've heard that. Yeah. So who didn't manage to get a point? Who's on a 0? Ian.
Hey.
And Indira. Yeah. Not bad at all. Oh, it's tricky again, but he's doing well. This Ray. I like the extra pause between the questions to give us a few seconds to answer. But
just to wallow in your defeats.
I like the name the car round because it's the only one I can ever get.
Yeah, me too.
Me too.
I've never got one of those right. None.
How about you?
Never, no.
No, you see.
No,
We might try and pick a slightly easier one next week.
Fair enough.
No,
Well, thank you very much.
keep them tough. I like it. It stretches the mind.
You're just a
exactly. We don't want
masochist.
easy
though.
ones.
Come on, Chris.
I thought it was quite easy. I got it on like the second image.
Well, the last year, yeah. When they showed the back,
The wheel. It was the wheel.
the wheel we got on the wheel.
Yeah, the
wheel was the
It was
giveaway.
like, Cinta Growly wheels. Come on.
It's such a high standard here that we have to, if we're finding it hard, people at home are just going, it's something yellow. So
Even though
yeah.
I do have an interesting Lotus Did You Know fact, which will be great pub quiz ammo one day.
Oh, you better let us know it now, though.
Yeah, of course. I'm not going to leave you hanging. Lotus F1's first Grand Prix win was in Cornwall, 1952. David Stowe.
There you go. This is where Craig goes, no, it wasn't.
So that's why Lotus released some tribute racing liveries for their road cars. I was like, where's the Cornish special, guys? First Grand Prix win was in Davidstow in the wet.
Knowing Lotus and special editions, it'll be coming along next week.
Yeah.
they'll make 3 Evoras with that specific scheme.
Yeah.
When are they going to replace that Evora though? I think that car's been around for donkey's years. I think Fred Flintstone had one.
Why would you replace Perfection though? I mean,
a lot more love for the Evora than we had for the Elan last week. That poor little Elan.
I'm still traumatized by that. I really am.
Yeah, poor thing. Okay, well, what we'll do now is I'm going to do a little bit of a different version of the wheel that we've been using in the past. So you'll all know about the Track Day owned scrap wheel, but it's been repurposed this time because it's going to help us to draw names out of a hat, if you like. So we're going to spin the wheel and it's going to draw names to then put into a tournament. So the tournament we're going to actually put to our Twitter followers and hopefully share it amongst ourselves into our own audiences as well, to just try and get together the best or most popular car manufacturer. So I've taken the most popular, I believe, car manufacturers based on the number of cars for sale at the moment on Piston Heads, and they're all going to be slot into a tournament structure, which I'll try and show you now. Let me know if that does or doesn't pop up. You might see a black screen first, and then let me know if you see a tournament pop up.
There it is.
There we go.
There it is.
Yay.
There we go. So a typical sort of structure there that you'd normally see. So we'll have 4 in each of these 8 groups. So we're going to have 32 manufacturers. And then as the Twitter polls roll out during the week, the top 2 in each poll. So we'll have 4 in each poll as Twitter allows. The top 2 will then go through to the quarterfinal, semi-final. And eventually we'll just put the 2 most popular marks head to head. Now we need to know where each one of those is going to go. So what I'm going to try and do now, well, first thing I need to do, I'm not sure if this is going to work, is pop some names into them. So if I skip to a different screen, now you'll have to forgive me here because I'm just trying to figure it out.
If there isn't an Excel spreadsheet appearing in this at some point, I'm going to be very disappointed.
Prepare to be disappointed. One thing I will say is that the thing needs a name, so I've ended up giving it a name and the corresponding hashtag, which hopefully you'll enjoy. Let me know if this pops up in just a moment. So this is the Car Users Manufacturer Tournament with Internet Trophy, with its hashtag there for you all to see. Now you'll notice on this this ComTwit tournament that the 8 most popular models have each been given a group. So they're the first seeds in their group. So we didn't want Ford to take on Volkswagen straight away because that might be a bit easy. So what we're going to do to pick the remaining 3 for each group I'm going to spin the track day own scrap wheel, which is now populated with the rest of the car manufacturers, and then one by one. So we'll start with Craig. Craig, you can say which group you'd like that manufacturer to go into, and then I'll try and add that live on the fly. So if I switch again, this is a lot less complicated than I'm making it sound. Let me know if you see the track day own scrap wheel or a variation of that. Let me know if that does pop up.
Yep, I see it.
Yep. Excellent. So you see some manufacturers around there. So I'll spin that round, and then Craig, when we see which manufacturer you're responsible for, I'll switch back to the other screen, and then you can see which group you'd like that to go into. So it should be spinning around now. I know there's often a little bit of a delay, so I'll give it a few seconds, and then let me know if you can see a result pop up.
We have Tesla.
Tesla. Okay,
right.
So Tesla, if I pop back to that previous screen, then you can let me know which group you think Tesla should go into. So there's group A, B, C, D, E, F, G, and H. I don't know how clear it is on your screens, if you can read the manufacturers that are already in there, but where do you think Tesla should go?
I'm going to put Tesla in group G.
Group G with Land Rover.
Yep, because they're two very, very different marks, I should put it that way. So I'm intrigued to see how they face off against one another.
Okay, now it's not letting me do this on the fly, so I'm just going to give it one more go. Hang on. Please work. Sorry if you hear lots of noise now. Is that working? It's going very, very slowly. Yeah. If it's not working, I'll just jot it down on paper, and then we'll figure it out at the end. The cursor's moving, but it's not actually typing. That's really strange. This is going incredibly well, isn't it? I think I'd have practiced this before. There we go. I think Tesla has now appeared in there. Hopefully, you guys can see that. Right. Yep. So next on my list is Neil. So I'll switch back to the wheel. Neil. And this is going so well.
Who's laughing?
That's LA. I know that laugh anyway. Okay, Neil.
Okay.
Is it number one?
Let's rotate the board.
Well played.
Or it's close between two there. But Neil, you're now going to assign a Jaguar into a group. So I'll just switch back to this very, very quickly. And hopefully you'll see.
Well, I'm thinking strategically because I quite like Jag and I'd like to see it do well. So I'll stick it into Group F against Vauxhall on the basis that Vauxhall's a no-hoper.
Vauxhall's no-hoper.
Certainly in this group.
This was going to come up.
Poor Vauxhall.
Poor Vauxhall.
I don't mind Vauxhall as such, but just in terms of what people are going to vote for.
Yeah,
you got to be realistic.
Yeah, I think that is typing Jaguar. It's just been Jaguar.
That's definitely word wang.
Next on my list, we've got Chris. Chris, switch back to the thingy.
That's gonna be interesting. I kind of wish there was some really niche companies in there, like Napier or
Yeah, I've gone for the popular ones. I'm really, really boring. Well, it's amazing.
Right, that's fine.
32.
Let's see if a company can do a Leicester.
It is at least. I'm sure. It is at least popular on piston head, so it's a bit of a weird mix, which is kind of cool.
That's it. Yeah.
Ooh, that's an interesting one.
So Lamborghinis for you. Let's pop back to the other one.
That's no hardship.
This couldn't be going slower. My computer is the slowest computer in the world. It's the Lola MasterCard 1997 version of computers. Okay, so Lamborghini. Where's Lamborghini going to go?
Oh, I mean, I am tempted to make life worse for Vauxhall, but you don't shoot a puppy when it's already down. So I'm going to stick it in with Group E with Volkswagen.
Okay. Oh, wow. A bit of a sibling rivalry between Volkswagen and Lamborghini.
Exactly. I mean, yeah.
Okay, let's stick that there now. This is going to go well. I'm sure it is. Lamborghini. Now, if you think I'm spelling things wrong, I assure you, it just needs to be missing out letters. I am pressing the buttons. I'm not an absolute moron, just nearly. Let's see if that pops up. Come on, be fast.
I mean, I do admire the hashtag you've put in there.
That's all right.
It's the size of the hashtag.
Yeah. Oh, come on. We've got Lamborghini. I'll tell you what. I'll tidy this up after the Zoom because it's as long as I get the gist of what's in there, then when we actually put it on Twitter, I'll actually make it a lot more clear. So although it says Mbagini, I think it's just because my computer's struggling. So the next person on my list is Richard. How's your internet, Richard? Hopefully this will
All
work.
right now.
Oh, good. Let's pop back to that one then. Remove Lamborghini. Right, Richard, we're going to spin it for you. Are you going to get something obscure or something quite normal?
How is Dodge popular?
I know. I was surprised. I was surprised that the second most popular after Ford was Audi. I thought it'd be Volkswagen or Vauxhall, but anyway, you've got Honda.
Ooh, Honda.
So I'll switch back to the other one. Hang
Is
on.
the popularity like worldwide or in this country?
It's just the ones that are for sale on Pistonhead. So they will almost certainly be 90% UK, I guess, but there are probably a few that are abroad. But yeah, where do you fancy popping that one?
It's got to go against Nissan, surely.
Where's Nissan?
Yeah.
Group H.
Two
So
Japanese
Nissan and
together,
Honda.
Yeah.
Okay, that makes sense, doesn't it? And come on, computer. Right. So it's probably going to be spelt wrong by the time it pops up because it's just making me look completely stupid. But next we'll go for Jess. So while that's thinking about it, I'm going to go back to the wheel of whatever it is now, wheel of car manufacturers. Remove Honda. So
Sorry,
Jess,
guys, I've got to go. Sorry.
all right, Ian, catch you later, buddy.
Ian.
Take it easy.
Okay, Jess, you've got Renault. So let's have another look at the come to it.
My screen is super behind. Okay. Well, no matter where I put it, it's going to be unfair to Renault. So let's put it Group B with Audi.
Group B with the Audi. Let's have a look. Renault goes in number 2.
See, the thing is, you can play this a bit in terms of getting people to vote, because if you put up a tweet with a picture of a Renault 5 Maxi Turbo and said, "What are you going to do? Vote for this or an Audi A4?" Renault's going to win.
Well, luckily, unless you have a whitelisted account on Twitter, you can't put images in polls. So we won't do, because our Twitter account is very, very new. So luckily, we get around that problem by being new.
So we'll do all the work for you, Damien. The roll in.
Alan, are you there?
I am here.
You are there. Of course you are. Okay, the one for you to pick. Oh, is it gonna make it? Okay. Hey, I know someone who's a bit jealous about this one. So your car is Morgan.
Is it? Oh, because it's still pointing at Mitsubishi on my screen. Never mind.
Oh,
Morgan is. You see, it's so much harder to position the good ones, isn't it?
Yeah.
Let's slot it in Group A, I think. Come on, it's looking a little bit empty at the minute.
Okay, so Ford and Morgan, who keeps stealing its engines.
Oh, that's true. I thought that.
Let's have a look.
Even though Morgan's now powered by, I think, BMW, isn't it?
I think so. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, Naomi will know. What are they still Rovers, or did they have Rovers for a while? I can't remember.
I think so. But I think it's BMW Turbo now. They had the last of the
pot here for me.
The rest of the V8s are gone.
Okay. So the next one we've got is Naomi herself. So you just missed out on that one. I'll just share the wheel again. Remove Morgan. And spinning it again. So Naomi. Again, it's very close to 2. And it's popped up with Seat is your car brand of choice. So I'll pop back to the other one again. Where would you like to put Seat?
Naomi's quick in Seats.
I'm going to put Seat. We need to fill up the other groups. I'm going to put Seat in with. It'll never stand a chance. No, I'm going to put it in Group F.
F.
Yeah, I'm going to take Neil on.
Vauxhall, Jaguar, and then Seat.
I'm coming for you, Neil.
Oh, yes. Okay, while that's trying to type, I'll switch. The next one I've got is Charlie. So, Charlie, if you're still there, I know this is
Still
going on
here.
quite a while. I'll give it a spin. Okay, Charlie, so you've got the Aston Martin.
Aston Martin.
Yeah, let's switch over to the other screen.
Appropriately. I'm going to put them with maybe Group E.
Group E, Volkswagen, Lamborghini. Spelt wrong.
Yeah. Just, I mean, why not?
You know what? This could easily make sure that Volkswagen doesn't even get through the first round. I think there's going to be a lot of people on Twitter keen to vote for the
well, if you don't want
to be sportier.
Well, if you don't want to vote, if you can't vote for Volkswagen, you can always vote for Audi or Seat. They're all the same anyway.
Yeah, they're all the same.
And Lamborghini and Bentley.
Actually, maybe I should have put them with Mercedes because they've got a Mercedes engine in Astons now, haven't they? Is it an AMG?
Yeah, AMG twin turbo.
Yeah.
They're run by the guy
What
from
do you reckon? Do you want to keep it in E or do you want to pop it over to Group C?
Could we go to Group C?
Yeah. LA take me about 25 minutes.
Yeah, sorry, just to derail your quiz.
Group C. The next one, by the way, will be Ben. So Ben, if someone could give Ben a prod.
Actually, this hashtag reminds me of the time I used to put the tits as an anagram in my war studies presentation in the second year. It was on D-Day.
What did you do?
I managed to put tits as an anagram in my war studies presentation. And I was talking about D-Day. So I came up with a PowerPoint T and B, and it was on a big screen. So TITS going down as a column, and it took a while for the people in the room to notice it. And then everyone started laughing because they saw what I'd done. And my lecturer gave me like a desk up. I'm like, "What the hell are you doing?"
Please tell me what the acronym was for.
So,
Ben, you've got Skoda.
Thanks for that.
I think it said like Mr. Bishop is a something.
Group D.
Group D for Skoda.
Yeah,
okay.
We're going down.
We're starting to fill them up now, but we are getting there.
Just give BMW a chance.
Is this gonna work? Come on.
I think people will take part in this just to tweet that hashtag.
Yeah. It wasn't. I didn't say car users manufacture a tournament with internet trophy for to try and manufacture a hashtag or anything like that. No, that just rolled off the tongue. Okay, next person.
Well, there is
LA.
a joke there.
Oh, me.
Are you right there, LA?
Yeah, gotta go soon. Go on.
Okay, I'll give it a quick spin. Well over an hour again, aren't we? Is it going to be? It's going to stop just in time. So yours is LA. Yours is Mazda.
Oh, lovely.
Okay, I'm going to just switch to the other screen. I'm getting quicker at this bit. What does that say? Kidda. Okay, where do you want to put that?
Hold on, I need to move stuff around. Can't see the other side. Where am I putting it? I don't know. E.
Okay. Right. I've just got to remember that Group D does say Skoda because that isn't very clear. So was it Mazda we were talking about now, wasn't it? Mazda.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Group E. So I think everyone's had at least one go now. So we'll go back to Craig in just a second.
Are we doing guilty pleasures?
Yeah. Well, do you want to do that kind of while we're doing this? Because this is taking a while. You know what? This is taking so long. I'm very sorry that this is taking so long. I'm going to fill the rest in myself. I'll do a screen share. So when you all go at the end, I'll do it just so you can see it on the YouTube video. But because it's taken a while, we'll call that a day there, and we'll talk about guilty pleasures instead. So I'm going to stop the share. So Indira, if you wonder what's going on, that's because we well, you've probably got quite a lot of questions. So guilty pleasures was one that Charlie brought up, and it was quite open-ended. But Charlie, if you want to kind of tell us what you kind of meant by what our guilty pleasures might be.
It's really any car that you secretly lost after, that you're you're simultaneously ashamed to admit, because for whatever reason, it's just not something that you'd want to be made public.
Right. So what would yours be, Charlie?
Mine would be a citron cactus estate.
Okay.
Because I was surfing in France, and I just saw loads of them in like bright color, like bright blue or yellow or bright green, and I just thought, oh, they look really cool. And then I looked into getting one, and then I found out they're not very good cars. Secretly, I still want one in a really bright pastel color with a surfboard on the roof.
Maybe ones with them bumps on the side.
Yeah.
What would yours be, LA? Have you got a particular guilty pleasure?
Yeah, it's not like that. It's not really that embarrassing. Well, unless you break down, which they do tend to break down a lot. We keep talking about this all the time, every week. But it's my combi, you know. It's like,
oh yeah, okay.
This is what it's about. It's about the lifestyle. I just take off and live in it. You know, that's my guilty pleasure. I wish I just had 20 grand or 30 grand or something. And
having run one, the reality is quite different.
Yeah, but then it's still a lot better than living in a terrace house in Lancashire, you know.
I was chatting to some guys in motor insurance, as you guys probably all know, and they said that it's quite interesting with the Volkswagen camper because so many people buy them with this dream and then sell them a year later. So it's quite tricky to renew a policy on a Volkswagen camper.
I think the reality of having one, if you know, if you worked full time and you had, I guess, a regular life, whatever a regular life is, you know, and you then have to sort of swing it around supermarket car parks and that kind of thing, it probably wouldn't be that ideal unless you had a second vehicle, you know, another car. But I think that, I don't know, I think I'd just take off and live in it.
Yeah, fair enough. Yeah. Okay, so Jess, what do you reckon yours would be if you had you put on a spot? What would your guilty pleasure be?
I don't know. Like there is no car that I like that I would be ashamed of. Like I think probably the closest I could get, like, you know, I appreciate everyone's opinions. But I'm probably with LA on this. I'd probably, you know, my obsession with a van. I would have a modern van that was just really, really tricked out, and it would be a bit like a disco inside, but I wouldn't be ashamed of it.
Fair enough. Okay. Chris, what do you reckon?
Oh, I've got two. One is actually a VW camper because I've got a interesting project which is going to be long term, which involves one of them. One of my slightly ridiculous ideas, which me and some friends we decided we're just going to do. But in reality, my guilty pleasure is something which is entirely unpractical, only exists. There's a one-off, but I still really want one. And that's a Van Wall DPR V12. So I put this on my Instagram and Twitter a few days ago. And basically in 2003, this company, I don't know where they're based, where they were based, they created a recreation road-going Van Wall with the intention to sort of sell them in the same way that Singer does with their Porsches today. And a Jaguar XJS, cheaper the chassis, but wheel guards. It was a proper road-going car. It was just like a modern road-going interpretation of a Van Wall. And you know, it came too early. It came before our modern obsession with retro modern cars. You know, in terms of like, you know, the high-end ones. And it's kind of sad. And then I sort of think, oh, it'd be great. And I know I get it. And one day I come down into Brighton. I come down from where I live in Brighton, and I get up to it. I'd see a seagull I'd shat on the steering wheel or the seat, and I'd be like, no. So I realised I realised I'd only be able to use for a few days a year, and if it was based where I'm based, I would spend most of the day cleaning toxic seagull poo off it. I still want
Did you say you had a second one? But I'm not sure.
No. So the first one was the camper.
Oh yeah, of course, yeah.
Main one's the Van Wall DPR V12, but I just know this. Okay. I still want one, and if I find VHE40, which is its number plate, I'll just say to them, take my car. I'm going with this one.
Okay, Ben, what would your guilty pleasure be?
Oh yeah, it would probably be an SUV with a large engine like Audi SQ8. Just
Right.
it's got a V8 diesel engine. Everyone hates you, but you just don't care. And it's not even a proper SUV. But you can still chuck loads of stuff in the back of it. You can drive it around one-handed. They're just comfortable, got great stereo, and then you got a V8 diesel. What more do you want?
Oh, great choice then. And Craig,
Apart
what
from
would
maybe
yours be?
handling.
Well, yeah, I don't need to worry about that. I'm sure Audi have got it sorted. Yeah, it's got S on it. Yeah, yeah. Yeah, Craig.
So mine wouldn't necessarily be one that I'd want to own, but one that I'd want to try, definitely. And that would be a contemporary NASCAR.
Oh, okay.
I'd love to hurl one of those around, like one of the really high banked ovals, something like that, just to really give it a go, because it's so simplistic in a lot of ways, but it's so very nuanced in others, and you have to really have to manage the car well to be particularly quick in it. But I'd really like to just give it a go and feel like the whole vibrating brutality of everything that's going on around me, around like a Charlotte Motor Speedway or a Talladega or somewhere like that.
Fair enough. Yeah, cool. Obviously, I missed the group chat there, so Neil's had to nip off. But before we go, we'll quickly wrap this up. So, Rich, what would yours be?
The last couple of weeks, it would be this, if I can get the picture to work. It's my other half's green Renault Clio, which is quite unlikely, but it's we've not been able to use my Polo because the passenger seatbelt's gone all floppy and it's not safe for passengers, basically, but it's been fixed tomorrow. But this Clio he only bought it because it was green. But it has no electric mirrors, or no electric mirrors, no air conditioning. It's a 1.2. It's quite slow. It's geared for economy, but to drive, it's really, really nice. Built quite rubbish, but no.
Almost was my first car.
But yeah, he just bought it because it was green. So
fair enough. And Naomi, what would yours be?
Well, this whole thing came about because we were all passing around the Z8 last week, and no one wanted.
Yeah, of course. Yeah.
I do have a bit of a soft spot for those, particularly because I played the James Bond racing game on the PS1 back in the day. But I think the one that I think about all the time, and I still desperately want one, but I think maybe they're slightly more acceptable now. But at the time, everyone was very harsh on them. Is the Mark 1 TT? I think I'm obsessive about that shape. I just think it's fantastic. And I got so frustrated when I was younger about hearing Clarkson-esque hairdresser's car stuff. And I just thought I can't be arsed to own one because I just can't take the comments. And I would really like one. I'm at that point where my car packed in just before lockdown and it's just been fixed. And I was thinking, I need to change it. And it could, for the laugh, have one for a year before we do something else. I'm really seriously considering it.
Yeah, get it before they rocket in value, because hopefully that'll happen one day, because I think they deserve it. And
it needs to be on the way up. We're already up quite high, but
get in there quick. Alan, what would your guilty pleasure be?
I'm really glad that Neil has had to leave the call, to be honest, because the ripping I would get for what I'm about to say. I would say the Rover 200 BRM.
Okay. With the orange mouth.
Yeah, a special edition, British racing green, orange mouth, interior in quilted red leather like a tart's boudoir. But I just think they're really, really cool. And I'd love to, again, it's a little bit like Craig, I'd love to try it. I don't know if I want to own it, but I'd love to try one. And I think they look cool. I don't care, but the interior looks great. I just think it's really cool. I've always liked it.
Oh, cool. Oh, Indira, I don't suppose you've been kind of, again, put on the spot. I don't suppose there's any particular car that you feel that everyone else hates, but you actually quite like, or is it not really something you ever thought of?
It's not, well, just mentioning the Renault, I just thought, I really like the little old Renault 4s with the gear stick on the dashboard. I think they were brilliant. I actually had a Renault 6, which was so ugly it was untrue, but I learned to drive in that, and it had the gear stick on the dashboard, which was brilliant, absolutely brilliant. But the Renault 4s I think were prettier, and I drove my friend's little red one. I thought, well, that's actually quite nice. It's a bit they were a nicer shape than the Renault 6s. So yeah.
Yeah, well, yeah, it's quite a cool little motor there. Yeah, I think that's probably a kind of guilty pleasure that we'd all quite have. I think if one drove past us on the roads, we'd all kind of go, "Oh, yeah, it's quite nice." Well, again, we've kind of run over the hour, and people have had to leave. So before we go, I think it's becoming a bit of a tradition. Craig, if you've got another fact for us to leave us with to think about for the week.
I do, and to go full circle, because we started talking about motorsport news earlier in the call, and we started with it really. There have been several F1 teams in the news this week. Renault is one of them. And did you know that back in the good old days of Formula One, you're able to run more than 2 cars per race? And even right through until the 1980s, you're able to run a third car in Grand Prix. Renault was the last one to do this at the 1985 German Grand Prix, when it ran a third car for Francois Hainaut, who was a French driver who wasn't particularly good, let's put it that way. His one-off entry for the team didn't go too well. He qualified 3 seconds slower than his teammate Patrick Tambay, and then retired after 8 laps.
So no point in running 3 cars ever again, because you've got your 2 good drivers, you've got all the engineers working on 2 cars, and if a third one comes along, yeah, it's not really worth doing. Well, there we go. So when was that? 1984, did you say?
85 at the German Grand Prix at Nürburgring.
Wow. Okay. There we go. So fact of the week: 3 cars were available in the sport, which currently no cars are allowed to take part in. So on that note, if everyone needs to leave, I think most people need to leave. All I'm going to be doing now is kind of finishing up with the thing. So I'll get that World Cup of Motorsport thing, or whatever the hashtag was, come twit, I think it was. We'll get the come twit finished so that we can put it onto Twitter and let people decide on what vehicles they think should progress through each round. And hopefully by this time next week we'll have a winner. We can discuss the results of the greatest manufacturer of all time. So for the time being, anyone who's watching live, feel free to subscribe so you can get more of these in the future. If you're watching again back, then you can skip to different bits. There'll be a comment left with the key parts and links straight to those. But please make sure you subscribe so you can see more of these, and hopefully a lot of the guys will be back again next week, including some of those that couldn't quite make it this week. So we'll have a nice full house again next week to talk about who was the winner of Come To It. Until then, it's goodbye from all of us, and I hope to see you all again next week. Thank you all.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Yeah.
Bye.
Oh, I'm still here, but
Indira's still here. That's
I
okay.
know.
You switched your screen off.
It's
not to worry,
deep, isn't it? There we go.
Bye, Indira.
Bye.
Bye.
Have I done it? Or am I still there?
No, you're still talking away. This is quite funny. It's like an outtake now. I can't see you. I could just see your name. There we go. That's just me now. So, yeah. I tell you what, to spare or you watching on YouTube, I'm going to spare your blushes, because I think it's going to be very, very boring as I fight with my computer now to finish up the Come To It. And so I'll do that on my own here. Now that everybody's gone, you don't want to see a guy with some stupid goggles on talking at the camera. So I'll end it here now, and look out for the results, and look out for your chance to take part in the Come To It polls on ZoomZoomers Twitter, so at ZoomZoomers, over the next week. Thanks ever so much.